Are you recording?
Yeah,
That's cool.
right. So I carry on what you were saying.
Aye. When I was when I had a psychotic episode in 2023, which and it was really the most intense psychotic episode for a long time, since 2017.
Yeah.
And it was really just a relentless barrage of flashbacks of unaddressed stuff,
Yeah.
of really serious stuff, There's people don't, in my life haven't really wanted to acknowledge and address.
Yeah.
Because it's incredibly unflattering to them,
Yeah.
And because they've not got any real reference of how to deal with it. And also because they've been through so much stuff themselves, but they've just become really resentful towards anyone who complains about it. But like when I was going through that, I was just completely totally consumed with surviving it,
Yeah.
without doing anything irreversible to myself or anyone else, So I was just completely consumed with that, And people say that depression is when living becomes work,
Yeah.
Where it becomes work just to exist. It becomes a grueling ordeal, and that was me in 2023 in a big way, and I'm still sorting through it all, the things I've been remembering and all that kind of thing. I've been trying to get it addressed with people in my life, but they've put up really stubborn resistance to getting any of it addressed. But basically, I couldn't. Since 2023, I've had a really difficult time, planning for the future.
Yeah.
I've really just been completely concerned with thinking about the here and now, and making sure that I'm comforted in here and now, in order to bear the pain of what I'm going through. I've just been, chain smoking cigarettes and eating food.
Yeah.
And then fucking, wanking.
Right.
And that's I've just been completely consumed with that in order to, ease the pain or soothe the pain.
Yeah.
To comfort myself, and it stopped me from really looking forward, or making any plan, or considering the coming years or the coming months, or even the coming weeks. I've really not been taking the future into account at all. I've not been taking the future into account, and it's a sign that I'm getting better now, that I'm beginning to think about, what about the coming weeks, the coming months, the coming years. We're really, I think a really mentally well person would be able to think ahead in decades, and make plans for decades and stuff, and because I get schizophrenia, right? Is schizophrenia one of the symptoms that they diagnose people that's looked for when they diagnose people with schizophrenia?
Yeah.
Is low motivation. But this term, low motivation, is really not entirely descriptive of what's really going on.
Yeah.
With the
It's part of what's going on.
it's not exactly really what's going on. I mean, you can feel very motivated to do things. Like, you feel a real anxiety about the fact that you're not doing things, and that anxiety, for some reason, is not translating into action or planning or organizing. You know.
Yeah.
But really, what I think it is like, I think can be better described as inactivity and avoidance. You know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's inactivity and avoidance.
And anxiety.
You know? Yeah, and it's the anxiety which causes the inactivity.
Yeah.
And it's the anxiety which causes the avoidance. You know.
Yeah.
But for me, a lot of it is to do with that thing of not being able to plan for the future because you're so caught up in surviving the here and now, with what's going on inside you, in terms of the torment that you're in, you know.
Yeah.
But it's also got to do a lot with undiscovered and unaddressed trauma, you know.
Yeah.
So undiscovered, like, trauma that you're not conscious of, and trauma that you're not that you haven't really addressed with with anyone, or nobody's really sort of listened to you, you know. Because, like, I mean, the thing is, see if I mean, I had a lot of harm done to me, you know.
Yeah.
Between the ages of 3 and 6. My introduction to the world was people putting immense pressure on me to do things that I had never been encouraged in a kind way to do. And then, if I got it wrong, no matter whether or not I wanted to do them or not, that they didn't care about that. They expected me to know exactly what they wanted, without any support, encouragement, or comfort, or anything like that. They expected me to know exactly what they wanted, to understand it, and to agree to it without any question. And if I didn't do exactly as they wanted, and if I didn't totally agree with it 100%, they would explode into this insulting, demeaning, like screaming, berating, humiliating me. And I knew at any moment that if I didn't please people exactly as they wanted to be pleased, that I could be really badly harmed. And I was on a daily basis. And absolutely nobody had any problem with that. And to this day, the people in my life have absolutely no problem with the fact that that happened to me. They didn't feel the need to address it with the people who were doing it. They were doing it themselves, and they still believe that that a 4-year-old or a 3-year-old deserves that if they do not immediately guess what an adult wants and immediately agree with what the adult wants. You know, they still believe that. They still have that horrible, abusive ideology. And absolutely no one else is telling them that that's wrong either. You know, absolutely nobody else is telling them that that's wrong. Because people still have this belief, this kind of prejudice, that it's the adult's job to hurt a kid if it's not doing exactly what the adult wants, if it's not agreeing with exactly what the adult thinks. And they really believe that there's there should be that it doesn't need to be addressed in any way. If an adult's doing that, they kind of expect that of themselves and of other adults. They don't care about the harm that the child's coming to. As far as they see it, the child deserves all the harm they get, even if it's never had anything explained to them, even if it's something that the child innately disagrees with. They really believe that the worse you hurt a child, the more likely it is to become the sort of person that they want. And they really believe that if you that a child that doesn't want to be exactly what they want and isn't able to guess what they want without being told, that child is evil, and they will tell it that it's evil and all this kind of stuff, you know. And absolutely nobody will be addressing the people who are doing this. Absolutely everybody will be cheering on the harming of the child, you know, with nobody backing it up, nobody telling the people that they can't do this. And it's just seen as a parent's right to do that to their child, and anyone else anyone else who's in charge of children is seen as their right to do that to children. Absolutely nobody will defend the child or tell it that, or explain to the child that it's not okay for adults to hurt it. You know.
Yeah.
Absolutely nobody will do that. Nobody sees it as their job to protect children. You know, and they see a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old who doesn't instantly guess what an adult wants and agree with it as being evil, and that the worst neglect you can do is not harm it really badly, you know. And that was the attitude that all the adults in my life had. Absolutely nobody has shown any concern about what I went through. Absolutely nobody has thought it was important enough to want to know the who, how, when, where, why, what, of any of it. And nobody has wanted to comfort me about all the harm I went through, encourage me to do things that that they want of me. Nobody has wanted to explain to me exactly why I should want to do these things, and nobody's wanted to see if I agree with any of that. Nobody has wanted to understand why I went through the harm I went through, and all this kind of stuff. And because everybody's absolutely fine with it. Because absolutely nobody has ever told anyone who's ever harmed me ever that that it's not acceptable to harm me, or it's not acceptable to harm people simply because they haven't guessed what you want correctly without being told, or simply because they don't agree with what they're telling the child to do.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely nobody has had any problem with it. I really feel that I've been so badly harmed. I've been so badly harmed at such a young age, where I had absolutely no expectation of what was going to happen. I had absolutely no understanding of what was happening to me. I had absolutely no choice in what was happening to me, and I had absolutely no power to determine the outcome of what was happening to me. People just exploded at me and were confused when I was too shell-shocked to understand what was going on and do what you know. I mean, first of all, they expected that I was going to agree with it, you know, and then they had no expectation of themselves to not harm me. They believed, like, absolutely nobody was telling them not to harm me, and they also they also thought that doesn't matter if he doesn't agree with it, doesn't matter if he doesn't understand it. Like, the adults in my life, my mum and dad and the teachers at my school, saw themselves as victims of me.
Yeah.
When I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
You know, and they were like, "We're gonna fucking teach this little dick a lesson, even though I was only 4 years old, they saw themselves as victims of me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't agree with what they were saying, and I didn't understand what they were saying. The fact that I couldn't understand made them victims of me as a 4-year-old when they were adults.
Yeah.
You know, and they just really, really relished hurting me really badly.
Yeah.
You know, and I can't address a single any of this with my parents because they just because it's unflattering to them, they just instinctively reject it all because it makes them look bad to themselves.
Yeah.
And they don't want to. They sort of see no point in really taking on board and letting it sink in just the level of the harm that they've done, you know. And so like it's really, really awful. And like I went through all that, just like you went through everything that you went through.
Yeah.
And then there was nobody there to comfort you.
Yeah.
And nobody there to comfort me and say and then explain to you that this is not the way people should be treating you.
Yeah.
This is not the way that anyone should be treating anyone. And nobody to address what was going on with the teachers or any of the teachers addressing what the parents were doing to me. None of the parents addressing what the teachers were doing to me. It was just really an awful situation where absolutely nobody had my back. Not my peers, not my siblings, not my parents, and not my teachers. And they were the only people in my life. I went from being told I was a piece of shit at home to an environment where I was being told I was a piece of shit at school. And those were the only environments I knew, you know. Those were the only environments I knew. So like, but like say with you and with me, you know, I mean, you've got a lot of anger against your sister, right?
Mm.
But imagine your sister was totally different, right?
Mm.
Imagine your sister. I mean,
well, I don't have any anger anymore because I've let
Yeah.
that go, but I did before until I kind of dealt with it.
Yeah.
But I still do think I should have had to deal with that. But anyway, I go on.
Yeah, none of us should have had to have dealt with what we've dealt with. But imagine how great it would be, and imagine how different it would be. Imagine how different our relationships with our sisters would be, right?
Yeah.
If instead of them, because they all went through shit too, right?
Yeah.
Our sisters went through shit too. But imagine if instead of the way they reacted at the time, which was to be to say, well, to have that attitude of like, oh well, I've been through hardship, so why should I listen to Alex or Dave complain? Imagine if they were totally different people, right? And they were like, they had a totally different reaction. They were like, this is wrong. What's happened to us, me, or to happen to. They were like, imagine my big sister, your big sister were like, what's happened to us is wrong. And then it's also wrong to happen to Dave and Alex. And then they were both like, we need to totally comfort Alex and we need to totally comfort Dave and tell them that that we're on their side because we're their big sisters. And imagine they did that, and imagine it was totally different, and you just got totally comforted, and you just got totally supported, and you had people who had your back instead of being like, oh well, we've had a hard time, why should they complain? I don't want to hear them complain when we've sucked it all up, you know, that sort of thing. And then like imagine how much we'd love our sisters, you know.
Yeah.
We would totally love our sisters, and imagine they were like, we're the older ones, we've got to protect and comfort and support, you know, our little brothers who are going through this hard time.
Yeah.
Dreams are made of those kind of things, having older siblings like that, you know, ones who are gonna like address what's wrong and make sure that nobody else goes through what they went through and all that kind of thing. Those kind of people are like superheroes.
Yeah.
But they're so rare, you know. They're so rare.
Yeah.
Yeah. But imagine your sister was like that. I mean,
It'd be a totally
incredible.
different story. No, it's quite a whole conspiracy of.
Yeah.
dark forces all working together.
Yeah.
Really?
Like, because that seems to be a lot of like older siblings' attitude towards all the harm that happens.
Take out the shit on the most vulnerable.
Yeah,
And I'm the youngest in my family, so I mean, this isn't a bash my family, but
also
it probably wasn't like that. We'll direct. I'm not comparing it to your situation. It's always just seems to be the way with a lot of situations like that.
Yeah.
We're all part of the same crap setup.
Aye.
So we'll take out, like that's where the black sheep scapegoat comes from. It.
Yeah.
Take out the shit on the most vulnerable.
Sure.
I think I was most. The person in the family that actually saw it was probably treated the worst and was least least wanted to be part of certain ridiculous things, you know.
Sure.
Because it's like a game in it. We all play a game.
Aye.
I'm kind of like the one that sees that the whole game's bullshit.
Aye.
Don't be part of your game. It's like so. That's what I said before. Being born into the wrong family, I feel like you've been dumped on an alien planet. You go, why am I part of this silly situation?
Aye.
You know, but
it's bizarre. It is. It's. I mean, you in relation to the religious stuff or all of it. Like...
Yeah, a bit of everything maybe.
Yeah.
No, just the kind of like the bullying kind of.
Aye.
I mean, all parents tell off their kids, but
yeah,
it's a bit too disciplinarian, a bit too.
Aye.
But no, that's
a bit too hateful, really, isn't it? Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hateful. Yeah. it's just hatred.
It's a regime. It's like a tyrannical regime or something. It's like being born in Russia or something.
Yeah.
But you were actually born in Finland or.
Yeah.
Or somewhere that's really cool community. And you land in some tyrannical regime, and you want to wake them up and go, "I think this is right. The way we're doing things here."
No.
But I can relate to what you're saying because, like, where everyone, you feel like everyone's against you. My situation was nowhere near as extreme as yours, but I feel like everyone's against you, and everyone is against you.
The stuff that you've told me qualifies as extreme. That qualifies as extreme if you think about it. If you think about if you did what people were doing to you, that's extreme.
Yeah.
It's an extreme. It's basically criminal. It's basically a criminal. You're pretty much a victim of a crime. Pretty much.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's your own family, so it's an inside job.
Yeah, it's an inside job.
Like you're saying, being punished for things that you haven't done. It's like that film I said before when he confronts his dad and they say, "Why'd you always follow me? Why'd you always follow me when I do something wrong?
Yeah.
Why'd you never follow me when I do something right?" Like you're saying.
Sure.
Here's the encouragement.
Yeah.
So it's fucked up. You've inherited. You're dropped in a situation where you've been punished for doing something cool, and being told off and everything for just injustice in it, and but I suppose like your situation is really extreme. It's quite sad, but I think most families is probably an element of that, where most families are pretty dysfunctional. Everyone. But it's a scary place, does it not? Where you don't feel you've got any recourse.
Sure.
To any kind of.
the harm that you come to.
Yeah.
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 It's really fucking bad. Like, it's really fucking bad.
It's almost so crazy you got to laugh at. Like,
you gotta laugh at it just because it is absurd. It is fucking absurd. Like fucking adults genuinely believing that they are the victims of a 4-year-old, and believing that they have the right to harm that 4-year-old as a result of that fucking 4-year-old not instantly agreeing or understanding things that they have not taught them, for not being able to instantly guess what the adult wants and understand it and agree with it. The adults really believe that this makes them heroic victims of a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
And like they believe that they can unleash all the impatience and hatred inside them on that 4-year-old, and absolutely nobody addresses it or tells the child that people aren't allowed to treat them that way. No, absolutely nobody addresses the adult and tells them that they're not allowed to treat children that way. Absolutely nobody stepping in and looking after the well-being of the child, or communicating with it, or comforting it, or encouraging it and explaining things to it.
Yeah.
And asking it if it agrees with any of this stuff that's going on. It's really fucking absurd, really.
It's almost the definition of narcissism.
Yeah.
Like,
and
Yeah.
The thing is, though, that pretty much everyone in my school went through it to some degree.
Yeah.
And the majority of them also went through it at home as well as at school. But nobody wants to talk about it or bring it up or like really examine it or interrogate it, because everyone's like, people are either like, oh yeah, well now that we're adults, we've got the right to do that too, and we can get just as impatient and demanding and like prejudiced against kids now that we're adults. And then the other ones are just like, this is too depressing to talk about, we can't do anything about it, it's just the way the world is, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's fucking bollocks. It's not just the way the world is, it's the way that world is because people don't address it and think think it's completely fine. That's why it's the way the world is. It's not. It doesn't have to be this way. It shouldn't actually be this way at all, though. You know.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be this way at all. It's this way because people choose to make it this way. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how'd you go about doing anything like that? Because at the end of the day, I saw a video pop up in my YouTube thing that was actually talking about, it was like, supposed new developments in the research with schizophrenia, and it was talking about all this stuff, but you can bet there's no... The point is, you can do all the research you want and find out why things are, and treatments and everything, but is anyone really getting to the heart of the cause of the issue? How do you change? How do you intervene? There's no intervention. How can you intervene? And like you're saying, this behaviour is unacceptable, and then forcing parents and jailing them and.
Well, no, I don't know about jail. It's more addressing things than jailing them. First of all, there should be the correct education of any adult who's in charge of children.
Yeah.
First of all, they shouldn't be taught that they should be taught explicitly that they can't expect a child to agree with everything that the teachers tells them. And second of all, they should be taught explicitly that they cannot expect a child to understand things that they haven't had any support or encouragement to understand. And they cannot expect a child to become competent in things that hasn't been encouraged to become competent in.
Yeah.
You know? And there was somebody said children are more likely to do things that when they're told, when they like and respect the person who's telling them to do it. And it's like, and he also said, how do you get a child to like and respect you?
Yeah.
And the answer to that was like and respect them first. So like if the adults liked and respected us first, we would be a lot more likely to like and respect them back, and we would be a lot more likely to do what they said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really awful. I mean, like I've never felt safe since I was 3 years old. I've never felt safe from other human beings. You know, because I know through experience, because it's been my lived experience, that people will harm me at any moment.
Yeah.
And absolutely nobody will have any problem with that.
Yeah.
Everybody will be cheering it on.
Yeah.
Everybody will be cheering it on and saying, like, what a heroic person for defending themselves, for teaching that a person who doesn't instantly agree and understand everything that's going on, who isn't able to instantly guess what other people want and people please them through guessing, what a hero that person is for teaching that a scumbag a lesson. That's just generally the feeling that I get, because that's what my lived experience has been.
Yeah.
From the age of 3, especially between the ages of 3 and 6, it was just that every day from everyone. You know.
I just say I can relate to that. No, as on the same degree, but I've said this to you before. Like my dad had never a good relationship with him because he was a bit strict and I was scared of him. So when I went out into the world, I did project that, and every male adult figure, I was scared of them, and it even extended to friends. You see your dad and everyone, don't you? So it's that kind of. I mean, this is quite deep and quite dark, but at least we're not scared to address it, because I sort of laugh about it as well, because I go, I'm not the same now.
Yeah.
I've turned into a person that is not intimidated by anyone now, and actually.
Yeah.
I see the good in people despite that.
Yeah. You're good. Like you're good for seeing the good in people. Like you really like people.
Yeah.
And I think that's a real strength of you.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, I can see though that you are scared, just like I am. You know, that you are scared when you go into pubs and you see some burly man. You want to go up and you want to like make him laugh.
Really?
And stuff. Yeah, this is what I've seen you in pubs. Like you're still seem to be scared. Which is understandable because I'm scared too, right, of people. But like I see you when you go into pubs, like I just generally go quiet and don't interact with people. Where you're more like if you see a guy and you find him quite intimidating, or even if you find him intimidating and impressive, or whatever, you go up to him and you start trying to get his attention and trying to like make him laugh, and like trying to like. You do this. You don't remember doing this ever. Like, you go up to people and you start giving them mad patter and stuff, even when they're sort of minding their own business. Do you ever remember doing that?
Possibly,
because I've been with you in the pub a few times,
right?
And you have done this, and I've been like, this guy wants to be left alone. But that must come from your fear, which was caused by what your lived experience of
maybe.
Yeah.
But I think I've chilled that. That's chilled out a lot more now.
Yeah.
I think the process of healing.
Yeah.
You change and you go. I try to control the environment. Not control it, and not control with a big C, but control it to make yourself feel safe. You go, right, I'll express myself on this situation.
Yeah.
So I can see where I stand with people, and I can relax. Maybe there's none of that.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think you obviously do still you have the same fear as me. I can tell by the frenziness of your social interaction when you go into areas where there's like men and women, and like you're like, oh, I'm not so sure here. I need to put on this performance and stuff in order to. I want to engage with them, but I think there's an element of frenziedness to it. You know, which comes from basically the fear of your lived experience. You know.
Maybe because it's interesting you saying that, but I don't. I think maybe it's just my own way of entertaining myself. Maybe there's that as well.
Aye.
Like I say, now I'm not so much like that. Like if I go into a place,
aye,
I'm focused on what I'm doing, and I'm kind of, you know,
right.
I've interacted and met enough people that I go, I don't need, you know, I can't be bothered with, you know, making an effort. I think previously it probably was just like, oh, I was finally enjoying myself, so I was like, I wanna have fun now, you know.
Aye.
So you know, maybe it came across that way, but I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I was just more trying to enjoy myself. But I was talking about before. I was talking about I went to Greens one day.
Aye.
And I hadn't been in there since they'd opened it after shutting it down, right?
Aye.
I went into Greens, and the guy behind the bar was quite abrupt with me and quite authoritarian, and you know, quite told me off, you know.
Sure.
And I outed him in my videos. I said, "You're an absolute cunt. Greens absolutely sucks," you know.
Yeah.
Because I was doing absolutely nothing wrong. I was just like, I feel like part of it is maybe being completely misunderstood. Like, have you ever been, like, we're in a pub, right? And I'd only had one drink. This Australian guy had bought me, and I just went round the bar to talk to this guy sitting at the bar.
Aye.
Just a guy sitting at the bar, and I was just making small talk while I waited for change.
Right.
Just asking him some simple question about the jukebox, and I wasn't being annoying or confrontational or Larry or anything. I was just like a simple thing, and then the barman came round and immediately turned on me, and he was quite aggressive, and he was like,
"Aye,
what are you doing? Sit down and be talking to him." It was like quite aggressive. I'm going, what the fuck did this come from? I'm going, I'm not that guy. Like, you know those dickheads that cause trouble and everything, right?
Yeah.
I feel I was totally judged. Totally misunderstood just by talking. I'm going, run a fucking pub. You're not allowed to talk, just make small talk. It was like over nothing.
Aye.
So there's that kind of thing, you know. So I don't know where that fits into stuff, but I'm careful about who I talk to now. I kind of read the room.
Aye.
You know, if you kind of read the room and you go, but I don't do that so much now. I don't approach. I let folk come to me. I kind of go, well, my vibe's cool. If they want to come in with it, fine. Yeah. If they don't, fuck them, you know. But let them get on with it, and I'll just be calm with them myself, you know.
Right. See with authority figures, right? And even with peer groups or older siblings. See, is it not like with me? There's a part of me, right, which is like it's impossible for me to respect any of them without disrespecting myself. You know, because like if to agree with someone whose opinion is that I am a piece of shit, you know?
Yeah.
Whose opinion is that I am a piece of shit, and their idea, and that their idea of who I should be, and what I should do, and what I should think, is 100 times more important than my idea of all that, and to have been so badly harmed because they had that attitude it's very hard to go from that and be like, well, it's very hard for inside yourself to be like to be self-critical yourself, you know.
Yeah.
To actually be self-critical, it's hard to. It actually inhibits necessary self-reflection and self-critique, you know, because the last thing you want to do is say that an abuser had a point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is say that an abuser had a point. And because it would always be like saying that abuse has a point.
Yeah.
You know? Which it doesn't. It doesn't. So, like, so it's very hard for me to genuinely assess what is right and wrong.
Yeah.
When people have been wrong.
Most of the time.
When they have been wrong. Well, just the simple fact that their first reaction is to harm me rather than communicate with me or explain to me.
Yeah.
Or understand me, you know. Their first reaction is, who the fuck does this pussy little cunt think he is?
Yeah.
Thinking that everyone needs to understand him, explain things to him, and you know, like who does this pussy little cunt think he is? Thinks he's gonna fucking thinks he can decide how he can act or what he thinks is right and wrong. I'll teach him a fucking lesson so that he doesn't know, so that he doesn't think that that he can just do or think or say whatever he wants when there's other people around. And like the fact that people will see themselves as victims of the fact that you can't instantly guess what they want, can't instantly agree with it, can't instantly understand it.
Yeah.
You know, and they think we're going to teach this evil cunt a lesson. This evil cunt who doesn't instantly agree, understand, and expect exactly what we expect of him. You know. And it's just like, well, that's just like so obscenely unfair to put that on a person that it's really, really hard to self-critique after that. You're just going to be like, fuck off. You're just going to be like, I'm going to fucking do it in order to fucking upset these people, because it's like the women on the internet said, you like and respect people who like and respect you first. And you're like, if somebody doesn't like and respect you, you're not at all going to want to fucking like or respect them in any fucking way.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to like and respect them in any way.
Yeah, so that's where the kind of detachment comes in.
Yeah.
We're talking about a detachment. Like I've got it, but not as much as you. But no, but in a different way. You can be quite open with folk. That's when I say something, I've got to watch what I say, because I don't want to come across sweeping statements, right?
Sure, yeah.
Because I'm just saying, on a certain level, I've got less detachment than you, but I can relate to what you're talking about. That, because like I say, I think with you are detached with people that you're not comfortable with. With the folk you are comfortable with, you're fine.
Yeah.
So the detachment, I think that's what like all the videos I've done. All that detachment, it's like to someone else they might go, oh, he's mental, he looks like he's got some sort of personality disorder, but my point is, who sets the norms in society?
Yeah.
We are. I think that's one of the things, right, that comes out of your situation and mine, I suppose, is that at least we learned what freedom is.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know what freedom is, right? They're conditioned by certain ways of. Obviously, the most important thing is respect, isn't it? When you're talking.
100%. Yeah.
But some folk they talk like you've got to, like we're talking about the game, right?
Yeah.
So they talk to you as if there's implicit that there should be some implicit knowledge that there are certain rules in this game.
Yeah.
You step outside of the norm, you're a weirdo, and there's something wrong with you. And I get off, and sometimes I probably turn things on its head because I get off in it. I like being different because, like you're saying, you found that freedom to escape the matrix or whatever, you know, like you know where you can kind of, at least we're free, and at least you go, well, you build yourself up and you go, I can say whatever I want as long as I'm not being. If someone finds what I'm saying offensive, that's their problem, right? Because look at what comedians they are. You've said some stuff before, right? That I thought's been quite funny, and it's been no that crazy, and it makes me laugh that folk can find us quite. Maybe they find because there's similarities between me and that way. Look, we're a bit different. Like we can say what we think and not really be too bothered about folks' reaction.
Yeah.
That's a good thing because what the comedians do all the time, they say the things that folk are thinking. You say things folk are thinking. So, do you know what I'm saying? It's like, so the detachment I think comes from what you're talking about. You go, fuck you. I'll decide what the norms are, and you're like, you've got to prove yourself to me before I don't need to enter into some transactional social situation if I don't want to, and you're entitled to do that. So do you know that's a good thing that's come out of extreme trauma? You go, it's that, like, that's where the birth of a performer or an individual, like, you are able to throw. You talk about like getting outside the box, right? At least that's a positive thing, isn't it? At least you're freer than most people. You got free thoughts, and you're able to, you know, you didn't need to indulge in someone's the kind of the social norms that a lot of people just accept as normal. And you go, who, as I say, who set those norms? You can choose who you talk to, you choose who you interact with. And sometimes when I've seen you out, I'm going, I quite admire the badass kind of attitude of just like detached, just standing there like, I don't care what's going around, you know. To a certain extent, you go, I can choose who I talk to. I didn't. That's you know.
Well, the thing is, like, we're having a quality conversation right now. I'm unlikely to have this depth or quality of conversation with a person in the pub. You know, the best you can hope for is banter, you know? The best way you hope for is banter.
Which is fine. I enjoy that as well, yeah. But,
the majority of the time, though, I'm really not in the mood for banter, or I'm not in the... Well, I mean, I will have banter and stuff, it will be good in the pub sometimes. But most of the time, I'm just really in this pub to escape the four walls and escape my own company. And like, I really I'm like terrified of everyone. I'm terrified of everyone. You know?
Really?
Yeah, I'm totally terrified of everyone. And I'm terrified of myself because I've got this fight or flight, kill or be killed thing that's been put in me by the attitudes of people in my life when I was an infant and a young child, you know?
Yeah. That's rough though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like what you were saying before about, you said like, see, over the winter, the big long period over winter, you said it was like, that was your version of me doing, my Superman rides, that level of endurance that it took you to get through that period.
Yeah, 100%. It took everything I had to get to just not do anything permanent and irreversible to myself or other people. You know? And say I had gone through everything that I went through, as an infant and a young child, ages 3 to 6. Say I had gone through all that, but then the people in my life had responded appropriately to that, you know?
Yeah.
Had responded with the proper amount of addressing things and comforting me and encouraging me and understanding what had happened to me and understanding and explaining things to me and all this kind of stuff. I would not be sitting here with mental illness right now, despite having gone through what I went through. Obviously, if I'd never gone through what I went through, I wouldn't have mental. It's no question. I would just be like, I would probably be right now in a job, married, all this kind of shit, you know.
So there you go. You've escaped. That's one of the. I'm not trying to take the piss, but at least you've escaped the matrix.
Marriage in a job could potentially be a good thing. Could potentially be a bad thing. Could potentially be a good thing. But anyway, people wouldn't be giving me all this shit about the fact that I'm fucking weird. You know, I wouldn't be getting any shit about being weird if I hadn't been traumatized, and then for that trauma to be completely inappropriately responded to, you know, to this day.
Yeah.
You know, so it's fucking crazy.
Now, when you're opening kind of monologue about that situation is quite bleak, quite stark. It's quite depressing, really.
Yeah, it's really bad. But like I say, it's not just what I went through. It's just that I've never met a single human being who sees what I went through as being important or mattering in any way.
Yeah.
Not in a professional capacity, not in terms of people in my life. You know, absolutely nobody has responded appropriately to it. Felt it was their responsibility to know about the who, how, when, where, why, what.
Well, that's
of any of it.
Ridiculous. I was having a conversation the other day with someone, and they were talking about social workers. Like, no blanketing them all, but our experience, you know, the social workers are just fucking, it's just like gravy train, you know.
Yeah.
But like police and stuff, social workers, just like gravy train. It's like what they actually do. They get paid to do. No one's really looking to the causes. No one's finding solutions. But to me, like you're saying, surely that's a basic thing of a social worker to just agree with you. So again, the system. You after all that shit, you end up in the system, and they're telling you they're not. What's the word? They're not empathizing with your position. They're not. Oh, that's terrible what you've been through, and so they're treating you like a criminal as well, aren't they? They're, you know.
Yeah. You do. You get treated as if it's their job to tell you, like, what to do, what is true and false, and what is good and bad, rather than like giving you a steering role in it all. You know.
That's what we talked about before.
Yeah.
Because you're deemed probably, you know, biased. You're the.
Sure.
It's sad though, isn't it? It's like.
Yeah.
That's what's quite crazy. You're pretty rational. Like you've the way you've talked about that. I have no reason to disbelieve you. Why would you lie?
Well,
you know, I mean,
in order to say something's true or false, you have to have evidence. You have to investigate. You have to care enough to want to investigate.
Yeah.
There's been no investigation of anything.
You had to do it all yourself.
I've been through, and the thing is, I mean, because people like, I talk about this kind of stuff to, like, say the Samaritans or whoever, and they're all like, well, why don't you go to the police?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't really think anything's going to improve by people being put in jail. You know?
Exactly.
Because these people still contribute to people's lives. They still, and them going to jail wouldn't take away what's happened. What I would feel much better about is if it was addressed by social work actually. But the thing is, what I would like see that what are they called? What are they called again? Like the SNP and stuff. There was a huge controversy about this. There was a huge controversy about the named person thing.
Yeah.
Where the Scottish government was thinking about assigning a named adult to a child for throughout their whole life.
Right.
What I think would be a much better idea is as soon as somebody becomes a parent, as soon as an adult becomes a parent, they assign 2 adults to the parents instead of the child. Just to make sure that the parents are competent in like listening to their child with an open mind, like treating it as an equal, being honest with it, and all this kind of thing, and like attending to it, guiding it, and protecting it, and providing it the way it needs to be protected, guided, and provided for. All this kind of stuff. And there was nobody assigned to the child. There was just people assigned to the parents.
Yeah.
And also school teachers. There should be people assigned to the school teachers instead of the child. That would be a much better system, I think, if you take care of the people in charge of the child instead of taking care of the child. I think that would be a much better system than a named person system, but it would address the things that the named person system was supposed to try and address. It would address those things much better, and there would be so much more trust between the government and the adults.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't seem like this stupid. It wouldn't seem like this stupid tug of war between the adults and the government over the child.
Yeah.
It would be a lot more like a cooperative thing, which is just basically checking in on parents to make sure that they're handling the job of parenting okay, and not being like we need to. I just think like a lot more parents could do with cooperative guidance in terms of not making sure that they're parenting in a proper way. I don't think that there should ever be this thing where there's this tug of war between the government and the parents with the child as the rope.
Yeah.
I think it'd just be a lot better if there was a named person assigned to each parent whenever somebody had a child.
Yeah.
I think that would just be a much better system.
Yeah, well, they'd almost act like a counsellor or a support for the parents to help them to navigate. Parenting should be, parenting should be taught, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. There's so much research on everything, and all the knowledge is all out there at your fingertips online, right?
Aye.
People could easily research into how to be a better parent and look at the current research. They could probably do a course. When you drive a car.
But would it not be a bit like people searching for who to vote for?
Well, I'm just talking about like the broadly agreed consensus on what's just not. I'm not talking about being a perfect parent. Just like, you certainly don't do this and you don't do that. And if you're feeling like you want to do this, go and get help so you don't do that. And all that. But a lot of parents wouldn't give a fuck to do that in the first place. So should it be a requirement? If you're a parent, you should have a license. And you should have. It's kind of what you're saying. There should be sort of checks.
I think like community government could people could go in, and as long as there's like background checks and maybe even forensic tests of the people who are getting into that job,
Yeah.
they could go and just do some not even checks, just a cooperative talking with parents to make sure they're okay,
Yeah.
to make sure they're okay, and to make sure that there's appropriate attitudes towards the kids, like open-minded, equal, and honest, and all this kind of stuff. But it wouldn't be a coercive thing; it would be a cooperative thing, where people would just be checking in on the parents to check on. But there would be there shouldn't be any threat of there being the kid taken off.
Yeah.
There should just be
support.
Yeah, there should just be support for the parents.
So moving forward, you were talking before about your parents. You decided to cut them off.
I cut them off for half a decade.
Yeah, and then you
I've rejoined with them, but last time I was at my parents' house, my dad was shouting at me that I was calling him a liar, that I was telling lies about him, and I've since had another conflict with him since then. But he's got cancer, and he has always... See, my dad's got no camaraderie with anyone, right?
Yeah.
He's not in the same boat as anyone. He's always positioned at the top of anything that he's dealing with, where he is the dictator of what's true and false. He's the dictator of what is good and bad. He is the dictator of what should be done and what should not be done. And he's always had that position at the top of the family, in a stratified hierarchy, whereby he really thinks it's his like he's entitled to tell other people what is true and false, what is good and bad, and what to do and what not to do. So he's got no sort of camaraderie with anyone. He doesn't have any real relationship with anyone in his life where he's an equal, where he's in the same boat, where he's rubbing shoulders with them, and he's got absolutely no relationship in his life where somebody is above him and is like guiding him and like is encouraging him and supporting him and all this kind of stuff. He hates being looked after. He's got a paralysed arm. He hates being looked after and cared for. He seems to hate being looked after and being cared for.
To his own detriment, really.
Yeah.
As a teacher.
He was raised by a head teacher.
Right.
He was raised by a head teacher. He was his stepdad.
That's a sad situation if you don't.
Yeah.
If you. We were talking in other videos about the way in which when I said phantom authority syndrome, folk are living in their career, their work situation. Gives them, it fully supports people to be just like monsters, or it can do, almost just to take an extreme.
It's because nobody is really trained in like deprogramming people from that mindset,
Yeah, because we've all been conditioned to, and we're conditioned by a system like that. What's the Stanley Milgram?
Yes, Stanley Milgram, 100%. People go into total Stanley Milgram.
Obedience to authority.
Yeah, whenever they meet somebody who seems to be sure of themselves and like talk and like sort of suggests that a dynamic where they're the one
Yeah.
who's going to be right all the time.
Then they cower
Where-
to that.
They
submit to
just
it.
instantly sort of assume the role of the person because they're worried about challenging the person to the point that they explode into domestic abuse
Yeah,
or whatever, you know.
yeah.
So there needs to be a discussion about how those types of personalities should be dealt with, you know.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Aye. And the problem
Yeah.
is, as we know, it's talking generally, a lot of people in positions of authority, positions of power,
Yeah.
those are the, I'm not saying they're not capable on some level, but there's a lot of times they have less empathy than the next person, less openness, less communication skills, less.
Yeah.
So this is quite sad that I was talking today in a video. Again, I do these videos all the time
Aye.
it helps me, you know, build myself up to get a sense of kind of autonomy and all that, right? And
Yeah.
one of the things I was talking about was sort of synchronistic what you're talking about. I was talking about the way that my entire life, when you take a step back, it's not being negative or paranoid, but you go, most fucking people that I've had interactions with are being not nice to me, not respecting me, not listening to me.
Yeah.
And seeing me not the way I am. So completely misunderstanding me. And that's why I've had to do all these positive affirmations in my video. Like I do stuff like, just off the top of my head, stream of consciousness, but it feels good. I'm going, yeah, this is the person I should have been. If I'd been respected in the first place. Saying stuff like, I know I'm a good person, I'm intelligent, I'm wise, I know what I'm talking about, and you know, and half the time some of the conversation the other day with someone else about this, right? But you feel like sometimes when you're talking to people, they're talking to you like you're speaking Japanese, and that's a form of gaslighting and narcissistic abuse, isn't it? When you're talking to someone and they're looking and dismissing everything you say and everything's bullshit. So you see what I'm saying? The picture, you take a step back and you go, most of my life, if I'm honest about this, most of my life I feel like being suppressed because they mistook my kindness and nice manner for weakness, and they think I'm some pushover and that I don't know anything, and folk are talking over you, talking down on you, disrespecting you, condescending you, patronising you, not listening to you, not engaging with you. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I said, when I met you, it's like at least we're able to talk. And you're not the only person in my life that I can do that with. But truly, I think it's an important thing to be able to talk openly. Yeah, no.
It's doing me a lot of good to have this conversation.
Yeah, it is. I said that earlier on. I said this. I was talking utter horse shit. This is what's funny. We've got a lot of the answers to shit.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We've got a lot of the answers to shit, I think, right?
Aye.
And I'm not being woes me, but you know, a lot of times we're being portrayed as the men. You know, I'm just talking about myself, right? I'm being portrayed as, oh, you're crazy and doing laughing at. I'm like, folk should, you know things.
Aye.
And in my videos sometimes I talk kind of unscripted, and I just go off on tangents and talk about a theme, you know, and I go, that's not being mental, that's been engaged with what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
A lot of times folk can't handle that. So I don't know what that relates to what we're talking about. It's kind of like, you it's unhealthy for folk to just abusiveness, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
disrespect and abusiveness is bad.
It's the feeling of entitlement, you know.
Entitlement's a good word, yeah.
It's the feeling of
superiority,
entitlement.
Superiority, innit?
Yeah. Superiority and the entitlement to well, the thing is that I'm quite a hypocrite in a lot of ways with all this stuff. in reality, right?
Yeah.
Because,
So,
yeah,
I'm not agreeing with you. I'm saying I can relate to what you're saying. Sometimes I talk out loud and I go,
Aye.
"Oh, I'm actually beating myself at my own argument there. I'm a contradict." But sorry, go on.
Aye. I would say that I'm a hypocrite, because I myself scowl at people and stuff, you know.
Aye.
Because I wake up with a scowl on my face, right?
You'd make a good gangster in a movie.
Yeah, but that this is something I want to disengage with. You know? I'd like to get to the point where I am not angry, you know. But I wake up feeling horrendous due to the unaddressed and undiscovered, unresolved trauma. And I wake up with a horrible expectation that people are going to hurt me. So I'm walking around with a scowl on my face. But sometimes the scowl is so sort of camouflaged into the normality of who I am that I don't even realise that I'm scowling. And then I'll look at other people and I see that they're scowling at me. And I'm like, why is that person fucking scowling at me? And it takes me, I have to take a second take and realise that I'm actually looking and scowling at them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why they're looking at me and scowling at me, you know? And that's the reason why they're scowling at me and why they're staring at me is because I'm staring at them and scowling at them. And that's the only reason they're doing it. And if I wasn't waking up with a horrible scowl on my face, there'd probably be nobody scowling at me. And if they were fucking scowling at me and staring at me, I wouldn't care because I wouldn't be an angry person. I wouldn't be waking up in a state of anger due to all this unresolved, unaddressed, undiscovered trauma that I've got, you know? It's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. But the thing is, like, I walk around all the time with this negative, judgmental, punitive, just a negative, judgmental punitiveness about me, and I walk around with this hating everything and thinking that everything is wrong, right? So I walk about with this all the time. But that makes me a total hypocrite for all the stuff that I've just been talking about, you know? Because in some respects, I mean, the only reason I'm walking around hating everything and judging everything and like disapproving of everything, and being unimpressed and impatient with everything, is because my whole childhood was people judging me, disapproving of me, hating me, disagreeing with me, and all this kind of thing. And that's why I'm in a state of total, of like permanent disagreement, being unimpressed, disapproving of everything. But that makes me a total hypocrite.
Right.
It makes me a total hypocrite because it actually makes me a bootlicker in a lot of ways, if you know what I mean.
Right.
It makes me a bootlicker because I am copying what the people who oppressed me, I am copying their attitude and then inflicting it on other people.
Right, well, you know, I would like to critique that.
Right, okay.
Because what I would say is you may feel internally a certain way, right?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I think maybe you don't, I don't think you come across nearly as bad as what you're making out, because the difference is you may feel a certain way, but you don't inflict that on anyone else. You're actually quite empathetic in a way, because you go, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, I don't want to be that guy
Yeah,
at all.
that's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
So I think that's pretty heroic. You know,
Yeah.
like I've had certain issues with the way I was. Yeah, I've had pretty poor treatment by a lot of people over a long period of time.
yeah.
Without going into it, and but I've never stooped to that level. I don't think you have either. So.
But
So you're nothing
yeah.
like your parents. You're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
dealing with internal shit, but you know you don't go out and
Like,
you know.
I think the only difference is really that I understand it's wrong, you know, and they don't. But but understanding it's wrong doesn't stop me from feeling that way.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm defending myself against people disagreeing with me, defending against people disapproving of me, defending against people judging me, defending against people being impatient and unimpressed with me.
Aye.
By simply being disagreeing, disapproving, like judgmental, and hating everything, just hating everything else, and it's almost like that state of people having that relationship with me. It's just made me want to have that relationship with absolutely everybody else, you know, and like so I'm like hypocritical, but it's like involuntary, you know.
Yeah.
It's like involuntary, and I can't. It's very difficult to unlearn, but it's almost like a defense against people being that way with me, you know.
Yeah.
Instead of being cool and chilled out and having a sense of humor about myself and other people, I've just got this constant like I need to judge things, I need to do all this, you know.
Is that your food?
Yeah.
I never. So it's still.
I need to lay down.
This is the longest podcast we've ever done.
Hello. Cheers, thanks a lot. So, are people going to listen to the end of this?
I don't know. No, probably not. But
You know-
well, no. But the thing is, see when we did I'm feeling quite tired, and so I'm not saying I'm not feeling it. I'm enjoying the discussion, but it's not been quite the buzz
Right.
last time. But not that it should be a buzz. But
Yeah.
I'll probably listen back and go, no, I'm glad we talked about it, because we are.
Yeah.
It is, but it is heavy though, isn't it?
It's heavy. Are you okay?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
I'm totally cool. But yeah, that's kind of like you were saying before. It's like, like you've actually lived it, so
Yeah.
that's far worse, you know.
Yeah.
But when we did the last podcast, like Robert said, oh, this is important, or when you do the next one. And then when I posted it on Facebook, it did get quite a few views, so I don't know whether folk watched to the end, but I know folk did. It's quite an interesting discussion, you know.
Yeah.
But, like, whether this is... It's no light entertainment, this, right?
No, it's not like entertainment.
That's the thing. But, nevertheless, right, it's pretty fucking important.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know... Like, the story you've told and is pretty... It's as quality as any other discussion someone would be having on the internet. It's as good as anything.
It's like that film Nedge, you know.
Yeah.
It could be the script for a film that comes out.
No, it could be.
Yeah.
I was saying that before, like having conversations with folk about. I could get into that, but I won't. But no, there are when you hear folks stories about folks' lives, you go, fucking hell, that's quite mind blowing, quite kind of uplifting in a sense, like depressing in a sense. But then you go, it's quite kind of cool how like a person can survive all that.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
It is quite remarkable, like the fucking human spirit is able to deal with all that and then survive, you know?
Yeah.
That's what you were saying at the outset, when that was part of what you were saying, that you felt like you were having to survive, like getting through things, you know?
Yeah, it was like
That's pretty rough, isn't it?
Mm.
Having to deal with stuff that you shouldn't have to. But Ned's, I was watching Ned's, we were watching Ned's. That was a funny, we were watching Ned's, right, and person that I've been seeing, right, that was her world. There's a place in Glasgow, Hardridge, right, telling you, it's the best DVD commentary you've ever heard. She knew about that world, right, and like that place, Hardridge. See, if I'd moved in there with my bike and everything, right, and moved into that neighbourhood, I would have been violently escorted out there within a day or two.
right.
And my bike had been smashed with a car, it probably been like vandalised, get the fuck out of it, without me even doing anything, you know. So you know what I mean?
What area is that?
Place called Hardridge.
It's in Glasgow.
A little cul-de-sac in Glasgow. But there's loads of bits like that, and there's areas of Glasgow that are pretty rough and pretty hardcore, and there's obviously shitloads of stories out there, isn't it, of people growing up in difficult neighbourhoods. But I guess that's where the beauty of film comes in it, because then we can write a film about the triumphing over adversity, isn't it, and all that shit. Survival, isn't it? Like a lot of folk in Glasgow and these neighbours, they're just surviving. Just didn't get stabbed, assaulted, shot.
Aye.
So I suppose we're pretty lucky that we're living in Dumfries in a way. Do you ever think that? You go, despite, I mean, I'm not trying to, I don't know, it's a harsh world though, isn't it?
There's people in Dumfries who have had similar experiences to the people in Glasgow.
Aye.
You know? Sometimes, like, having a totally, sometimes a family can have a totally sound life and their next door neighbours will be going through hell.
Yeah.
Or putting each other through hell, you know?
Yeah. I see you talking about going out and going into pubs and stuff and feeling judgmental and when I go out sometimes I feel a similar sense of, I feel like I'm different to most folks, so I feel like I wouldn't want to bother making an effort with them.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm going, I don't think the level of, what's the point? The level of conversation, the level of, they wouldn't be able to relate to me properly, and I wouldn't be able to relate to them, you know?
Yeah.
So, you got to stick with your aim, haven't you?
It's good to have a little bubble of folk who you feel safe around. Like,
that's all you need.
Yeah.
Really. That's all you need, really.
It's very lucky if you've got that. And if that's your family, that's all the better, you know?
Yeah.
And if it's a close circle of friends, that's great as well. Like, because you've got a place where you can feel safe and then go out into the danger and then have a safe place to come back to, you know?
Yeah. No, you do it like if you're to go out to the pub or something and you go out on your own, you feel a lot more vulnerable than if you're with a couple of mates or whatever. I've stopped going out into the freeze because I go, there's nothing out there for me. There's the odd person, but I feel conspicuous when I'm out.
That's probably due to what you've been through as well. The
Yeah,
fact that your feelings conspicuous, you know.
yeah. I can't, but it's partly that, and partly because Dumfries is a goldfish bowl. So I think in places like in this city, that's what I liked about the city. You can feel that you can blend in a bit more. You can be free to be yourself, you know. But no, my solution is get up on the stage and do some. I was talking about doing a show at Dumfries Theatre Royal. I was like, I'm going to do some madcap show, and it's on the heat. I was going, why don't I do that? As a way to say fuck Dumfries, you know, fuck yours.
Yeah.
Well, that's the solution, isn't it? Let's finish on a positive, right? We've not really gone into things like that because I think I've glossed over the kind of you talking about how bad things were. I'm going. I want to be that guy that says, "Alex, that's terrible. You went through it." No, it is, but it is. You know?
Yeah.
I want to be that guy, but I'm going. You feel powerless, you know. You go.
Yeah.
There's probably nothing I could say that would.
Yeah.
At least listen. I suppose.
You're doing the best thing that you possibly can
Just listen.
by just listening and taking it on board.
Yeah.
If I feel that the lessons of what I've been through have been learned, then I feel like I feel a lot less anxiety.
Yeah.
About it, you know.
No, it's the problem halved. Is a problem shared is a problem halved or whatever. But that's what I'm saying. I think, it was horrific. But talk about it is good because you go. If someone listened to this, right, they would go. Because you started off with I think that's what you see just to talk in terms of doing a video.
Yeah.
For public consumption potentially, right? A good engaging intro is good. So you battered. That's what I try and do in my videos. In the first 10, 5 seconds, 30 seconds, say something to kind of make your point, and then and sometimes I just didn't give a fuck. I just blab on. But that was a pretty hard hitting intro.
Yeah.
Because it was hardcore, yeah.
I'm not. I think I would die inside if we were talking about computer games, football, or television. You know? I would die inside a little bit if that was the conversation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. So that's what they say. Talk about, you know. But. So moving on for that, right? So it was horrific, and.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good that you're doing the right thing in terms of talking about it, and you've got a pretty good fix on it, which is hilarious that you've done the work. I said in a recent video of mine, right, I said, do you ever feel like you're having to do the work for everybody?
Yeah.
So that's there's a common ground between me and you, right? Yeah. That's we're kind of similar way. Like I said, you've ever got right? So I was talking about being creative.
Yeah.
Right? You'll know exactly what I'm talking about this, right? Where first you get the abuse, right?
Yeah.
So you're doing the work for them, aren't you? Because you're having to, you know.
Yeah.
You're then having to kind of alchemize, right, and deal with all the shit that is given, right? Then you do the work by making the art.
Yeah.
Right. Then because invariably it doesn't get a reception, folk didn't connect with it. You've got to do more work by trying to do better.
Yeah.
And then you've got to do more work by explaining it. You feel like I'm talking personally, right? I feel like I'm getting no response. I'm putting all this effort in.
Yeah.
And no one's bothered, and then I've found myself explaining to build myself up and going, is this? I know I'm contributing here. This should be valued more than it is.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean. Doing more and more and more work. I'm doing most of the work, and the other folk are just going dun, and nothing. They've got nothing. We're not getting. You know, at least you give me something. You actually talk openly, and you go into stuff and you listen. So that's all I mean. Doing the work for everyone.
Yeah.
So, but that was what I was thinking recently. I was going, because of folks some folk get it, what I'm doing, right? But a lot of folk didn't. And you go, why not concoct a show and actually do a live show in front of people? But we were talking about this. Remember before, we were talking about the stove and all that.
Yeah.
And you were saying about how, and again, we're no holds barred. We don't give a fuck what anyone thinks, right?
Sure.
We don't care about criticising because we see ourselves as you shouldn't yield to it. There's no authority. That's the whole point of art, right?
Yeah.
You should be able to criticise. So like you were saying, am I right that like the local scene is a bit controlled? It should be freer. There should be, you know.
Aye.
I think we are undervalued, right? I know I'm undervalued. You're talented, writer, artist, as in comic book. Right, you could do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Multi-talented. You could do the music, and you've done a bit of acting. You know, you did a bit of acting and stuff.
Yeah,
and you've got all those multi-talents, right? So there should be a venue for it. So I was kind of thinking, why not? I'd concocted in my head this madcap show out of all the skits and stuff I'd done, but like you were saying, where you craft it.
Sure,
Craft it, and I'm going, I think all the fucking material's there.
Sure, I would 100% be up for working with you.
Would you?
100%, yeah. 100%.
There you go then.
Yeah.
So the show, however, right, that I wanted to do, it wouldn't be in your vein, but
right, okay.
In terms of us working together, it doesn't mean we couldn't do something else. I'm not talking, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Look, the thing is, if we just have a creative process of having a powwow,
that's collaborating.
Yeah. Like a creative process where you talk at length about your ideas and what you want to do, and then I sit and listen to it with an open mind and take it on board,
and then vice versa,
and then vice versa.
Yeah.
And then we see what common ground chinks between those two things. You know, we're actually, there could be some things where I talk at length about what I want to do. You talk at length about what you want to do. There turns out to be maybe 2 or 3 things where we're actually wanting what you're saying is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that could maybe not occur.
Yeah.
Or it could occur, but you never know until you have that powwow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. So let's do that next time. Not necessarily publicly, but we'll talk about.
Yeah.
But in terms of, I always feel like I'm bringing it back to me, like fucking some sort of narcissist. I'm only talking about what I'm.
Yeah.
Putting out there that I've talked openly on my Facebook. I'm a YouTube about. I want to do some mad kind of. Using all the skits and all the stuff I've done and threading it together, do some kind of crazy show. It's got to be like sport and motivational kind of. It's hard to explain it, but I know it would be good, right?
Yeah.
Because remember the solo drumming show, so I'm going right. I've already gone up in front of folk on my own.
Yeah.
And you've done that, right? So you know you relate. You probably respect. Right, Dave's qualified to do that, right?
Yeah.
So I was gonna go to Theatre Royal and say, how much does it cost to hire the bit out?
Aye.
No fucker can stop me doing this, right? So you can swear and rant and perform and do all this stuff. That would get me going, and then I think could be open to right. Well, I've done that, and 10 folk might show up, but who cares? I'd have fun doing it. So
it would just be a rant on stage.
Yeah, it's like drumming, rapping, acting, performance art, stream of consciousness,
right.
Sort of be comedy and just.
So you just talked about hiring a venue to do that.
Yeah, that was.
Right. I'd be interested in the. If you sit and listen to me, if we have this powwow where I'm talking about what I am and I'm not. What would make me want to get involved?
Yeah.
What would make me want to get involved? Like, we'd have to have some practices and stuff.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, so
yeah.
if I could turn up to the practices, and if you were okay with me telling you honestly what I thought, but then bearing in mind that it is only my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you being well, and you having the confidence to say, well, if you don't like that, that's you, and like I like it. If you have the courage of your own beliefs of what you're doing, that you're prepared to tell me that you don't care if I don't like it, or if and then but then if there's stuff where it's both where it's connected between two of us, where we're both excited about this thing, we'll be more likely to see it through, and make it good as we can make it.
Yeah,
because we've got an actual idea that we think is going to be good. That we both are on the same page about and stuff.
Thrash it out.
All I would ask is that you do the same with me.
Yeah.
And be honest with me if you don't really like something.
Yeah.
But I will try and bear in mind that there are creative differences between people.
But I think there'd be more common ground than not.
Yeah.
So so the point is, my point is that this show, I think it'd be more. It was this idea I had was going to be more of a one-man show, right?
Yeah.
So I'm doing it. So I think that'd be more my thing. But the point is, I'm going. It doesn't have to stop there. I would then, after doing that, be like, right, I didn't want to do a one-man stroke myself thing, right? Why not, as you say, then let's do something together. We could come up with.
If I liked your material, I would help you with practical stuff.
All right. Well, that's brilliant, right? Because I was right. So one of the things was right. I did a video. Some of the some of the videos I've done with the kind of music and the visuals, right? I looked at some of the stuff recently and I'm going, that stands up. So it was having ideas like this. I'm going, right. You have so this is where you have I need somebody to help, like literally just play video clips, right?
Yeah.
And maybe like I've used some of your music before, trying to make videos before and stuff. So it'd be like you play. I've got so much content. I'm going. You play video, so you play video content on a screen. So I'd need somebody to play that and a sound man to be able to, technically do that.
Right. So if I could get a bit of a consultation on how to do that, I would do it. I'd probably do it. Yeah.
So I don't need to ask them. I'll just use you then.
Well, if you could teach me how to use the equipment, and make sure that I'm competent in it before I go on stage and start doing the work. We can have some practices. We can get things practiced down to a fine art. If you want, if you'd rather just have a bit of anarchy or whatever, have a bit of a fun accidents or whatever, then that's cool. But I think personally, I think it'd be cool if we'd have to set a schedule and stuff of turning up and caring about getting it really good, and then we'd be able to get feedback off each other about how well we were doing.
Yeah.
It's like Nirvana, apparently, when they were jamming, right? What they would do is they just go up and jam. Kurt Cobain would have lyrics that he'd be writing down, and then the other three members would just jam, and then basically what it was if they were all nodding their heads, they'd be like, "Yeah, we'll keep this," because everyone's nodding their heads.
Yeah.
If you're playing something that the rest of the band were feeling sort of uneasy about, they'd just start shoot you looks, and then you'd stop doing it. You'd be like, "Okay, they don't like that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put it in the band." So like it could be a band like that, or not a band, but an outfit like that, where if you don't like what I do, you just shoot me a dirty look.
Yeah.
And then if I don't like what you're doing, I'll just shoot you a dirty look.
Yeah.
But we'll be vibing off it.
Well, that's what. Well, let's have this discussion out, because, like I say, right, I like the idea of, like I say, this idea is more. No, I've got an exact vision. It's
right.
Me on stage, like solo one-man show, and I need somebody to support me with visuals and music, sound, right? What you're talking about is collaborating. So basically there's two things.
There's two different things.
Yeah, two different things. So so the collaborating thing, that's. But before we got into that, right, some of your tunes I was using and I was listening to them before and I was going, those would be perfect. Because what I'm talking about for just to get us going, right, the one man thing was doing a kind of a spiel, like all the dialogues and stuff, right, and you know like some of these rappers like Chris isn't in, and I've been opened up to, and I'm going, that's kind of giving me ideas for fucking, you know, taking an idea but talking a million miles, going crazy with it, you know, and talking a million miles an hour, and I've practiced wee things, and I'm going, some of that stuff, if you, like you're saying, if you sat down and that sounded good, that I like the sound of, you know, when you say, oh, they've been doing fucking and then you go, you could expand on it. So crafting it. Crafting, scripting a thing. But with your music, so it was thinking about like talking and doing all this mad stuff and kind of and you're almost going, to quote myself, and then you got the screen and you insert a clip of stuff I've done, and you punctuate the live thing with a screen just to make it the most crazy, you know, multi-layered shit and all that. So some of your music would come in handy for that, like just walk on music, and it just fits the bill perfectly, and just doing all mad shit, multiple. So that's that one man thing. That's what I need. I need somebody to technically support me in that. And even just, here's a rough script, Alex, what do you think? Give me some feedback if you wanted. Do you think that would come across? Any ideas you could maybe help me give feedback and all that? I don't know if that comes across. Why don't you make it more comedic? Why don't you stuff like that? You know?
I'll basically just give you my honest opinion. I'll give you my honest feelings, basically.
Yeah.
I'll give you my honest feelings.
And I could choose to disregard it or...
and be like, he'd be like, oh, what, Alex, what you like? Whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
but there's a cool thing in just in that, right? Getting somebody's honest appraisal and then totally disregarding it is actually a cool thing.
Yeah.
You might build me up, and then some other things I might go, that's cool that you've disagreed, because it makes me realise that I'm really sure of what I'm doing. That's cool, isn't it? Interaction, collaboration. You're
like,
because it's kind of like punk attitude of fuck the audience. It's like I just want to do this sort of experimental.
It's basically like a nice opinion. Thanks for sharing it.
Exactly.
Whenever I'm like got my own big feelings about it.
Because I like your honesty. It's really refreshing, actually.
Yeah.
But
as long as I can own my own feelings,
of course,
and not be like, that is objectively rubbish because I don't like it, you know, or something.
Because I think it's funny when, because as I say, it's so that aside, so you go, right, that's point one, like the drumming show, I'm going, I concocted the backing track, and it was all my kind of vision, as such as it was, and then it was like, that was cool, I pulled it off, so I think I could do this thing with the material that I've got swimming around and take it to the limit, right? So then when you've done that, you go, right, to do an interact, where you're interacting with someone else and vibing off someone else, that would be cool as well. If so, two separate pieces, and on the collaborative thing, off the top of your head, just straight off the top of your head, what kind of, do you have any kind of idea of what you were talking before about, you have something that you think's got to blow folk away, but you've not done it yet? Is there something?
I would just say me making beats and you performing.
No, really?
Yeah. That's the first thing on top of my head.
Me making right.
Or maybe me.
What, live? Like
basically me
Sleaford Mods or something. Even though
basically me with an MPC sampler and a sequencer.
Right.
And me pressing the sequences and on the sampler and the sequencer, and then you fucking because we could have mad rants about we've got similar life experiences.
Yeah.
Like I could even contribute lyrics if you want.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if you run out of lyrics, I could contribute some.
you'd probably be better. You're more talented at writing.
Yeah.
Because I've
got loads
been
of
honest.
lyrics, like,
Being honest, right. My skill isn't so much songwriting, although I've had that come at me. I'm going, I'm feeling, but I think I might. Whenever I write a song, why is it when I stream? See, when I do stream of conscious and everything, I listen back and I go, oh, that wee bit there is cool and right. But when I write songs, I always go, that is shit compared to everything that's out there. It just seems cheesy, and writing songs I find
But
I don't know.
That in itself can be a joke in itself if it's shite. Or be like, I mean, you can sort of dig deep or try and like be serious.
Try harder.
Serious with yourself and be like, dig deep and be like, what do I actually want to do? Really question yourself about what do I want to fucking confront people with? You know?
Yeah.
What do I want to confront people with? You know?
Well, I've got a clear idea with that one man show because again, a bit like you, when you've done all your music, you go, you know what you're doing next, you know. And it's kind of like this. I've done. There was a bit of listen back to just in the McDonald's car part. It was just a kind of a live thing I did, and I'm going. If I took that and then practiced it and extended it, I'm going. There's like the ranty stuff. It sounded like the kind of Cool Keith stuff where it's just like and I'm going. I'm not on that level, but it's like it sounded quite. I like the sound of that. I'm going. That's where it's at. They're doing like a kind of. Like the kind of cocaine tongue, the folk that are just going nuts with, but doing it in a. That's my. I can see possibility, I can the stuff that's I've already done is already the dialogues just from bullshit things focused like there's always one, and then I just do ... and make up my own.
I would be totally cool with the thing that you have a more of a vision for. With me doing practical help.
Yeah.
Right.
I would be cool.
I'll be totally up for that. That could be project one, right? What are the first honest feelings that come to mind when I talk about the one where I'm doing the beats and you're the performer? What's the first?
First thing comes to mind. Yeah. First thing comes to mind. I'm no good enough to do that. Like, because I go. I've not written any rap and I'm out of my depth. But I like the idea of that.
Right. The thing is, like, that you do performances up the town. When so it would just be doing that in a deliberate way.
Yeah.
It would just be doing that in a deliberate way for people who had specifically agreed to be looking at that.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, we'd have to do the gig to people who maybe weren't particularly interested or whatever. Yeah. But then eventually word might get around to people who like that kind of thing. I know neither of us ever got a big social circle. We're sort of outsiders and stuff like that. But I would love to meet up with you for scheduled dates.
That's a good idea.
Scheduled dates of practice for your project first of all. Yeah. Right. And then we'll see what happens with the other project. Like,
okay.
But but we would be working on it together to get it right. The same way that bands want to get it right before they get on stage and stuff. Okay. You know?
So what strikes me is with my thing. It strikes me as right. This is my vision, Alex. You're coming along for the ride, but I value you, and you can give me but ultimately, no, I'm doing this, creating, and then I'd be like, feedback, wee bit of feedback. But that job would be, Alex, do you want to help, like, screen technically the interface between the, like, how do I've got video footage, how do I technically hook that up and do that. And I suppose you could come in handy with, like, with Ableton and everything, right? If I needed to come up with some sound stuff, you'd be technically be able to do that.
Yeah.
That would be a help for me. But as
Yeah.
I say, that would be. You might be. This is the thing though. With that first project, you might be totally not get it and totally turn you off.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you if. Well, the thing is, like, if I don't like it, I'll tell you.
Aye.
Right.
So do you want me to script it and then you
but we can have a laugh about the fact that I don't like it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
We can have a laugh about that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to take myself too seriously about what I do and don't like and stuff. And I'm still going to support you even if I don't like it.
Absolutely. No,
even if I don't like it, I'm going to support what you're doing because you're my pal.
Do you want me, yeah.
And like, the thing is, like, I'll support you. The bad thing is like, if I'm just like, oh, there's nothing making me want to turn up to this.
Exactly, yeah.
If that would be the tragedy. That would be the depressing tragedy.
Yeah.
We'll see if that happens. We'll see if that happens. But
so
if I'm excited, but there's no pressure. You just do
the thing. Yeah.
You just do what you have a need to do.
Yeah, and you exactly. Yeah,
I'll just witness it. I'll just witness it.
Yeah.
And then, but this is the thing: is the lack of creative community. In Dumfries.
You're creating more of a creative community, right?
Yeah.
This is the writing group.
Maddies need to get together and meet each other, like in the punk scene, like in the hip hop scene, like in the reggae scene, whatever, you know, like the jazz scene. All the creative heads need to get together and be like, right, just say honestly what they think about it and have a laugh. If somebody, like, I mean, you don't want to end up with some psychotic seriousness.
No.
But that's something that I am actually prone to, unfortunately. Is the psychopathic seriousness about art. I'm a little bit of a Steve Albini, but I need to make a conscious commitment to not being that way, because I don't want to take myself
too seriously,
like absurdly seriously. You know?
Yeah, well, I
take other people absurdly seriously.
So there's the point. So, right, and on the writing thing, I think you were talking about you wanted to write some shit. Right? So, could part of this be, again, you have to think, we're kind of writing it down now as we speak, but one man show, I'm doing a thing, I need as you say, I need technical help, and I don't know exactly what that is yet, but I know I'm going to need technical support. I need some person to be there and physically press buttons for me, and for audio visual content to so it's kind of like you'd be a light sound guy at a theatre show where you've got to know, right, 3 minutes 20 I know I'm going to play this, that kind of thing. I've lost the train of thought. So that's the technical. I lost the train of thought. There's really, then could be the sort of writing group could be. Do you have a standalone thing that you want feedback on? Just like you're giving me feedback on my thing. And then we go, right, let's do a collaborative
thing. Definitely, I'd definitely be, like, any date, you set the date and I'll turn up. Set the date and I'll turn up to any practice. I'll even...
I'll tell you what the one man show is right now.
I know where there's a practice space in the town. Above the Tam O'Shanter. Above the Tam O'Shanter.
Oh, that'll be cool. Yeah. So I'll just tell you quickly what the one man thing it was. I saw that, that Mark Beaumont guy, the man who cycled the world, who's on the film. He did a show at the Dumfries Theatre Royal, right? And it occurred to me, I'm a better athlete than him, and I've done a lot of adventuring and some of the film stuff, and then all the YouTube videos and some of my showbiz stories for the biz and all that, right? That I was doing, right? And I'm going, I fucking got myself. So I was being a bit, the competitive in me came out, right? And I'm going, I should be doing a fucking show with all my skits. He'll just be standing up there telling stories about when he went around the world, which is all very well, but I'm going, I should be doing a show. So it was going to be that. you know, David Goggins-esque, you know, the ultra-marathon runner, I'm going, I'm that guy. I've done it in my own way. And, you know, with Superman rising and all the content, I'm going, there's a show right there, isn't there?
Yeah,
so your feedback might be helpful in terms of, I just like the idea of just going nuts and just fucking with genre.
Yeah,
you know, because I want to get it out. It's like, you do your shit, I need to get this out, and all this, the bullshit things that folk have said to me, and go, I'm such a fucking inspiration to myself. You know, there's always one. There's always one to be a glowing light in the face of adversity. I care. I'm so fucking, just motivational.
Yeah.
You know, so it'd be like ludicrous. It'd be hyper, and then doing the rap and stuff, and sitting and shaving your legs and stuff. You know, on stage and just talking about all my stories and I'm such a fucking hero in COVID, whilst folk were sitting criticising me. I was out there doing my shit, you know, and and then you have visuals, and I think it'd be quite just blasting them with. It's how you thread it through. Some of it could, but didn't care whether it's funny. Just some of the wee dialogue-y bits that I've come up with, I'm going, it'd be cool to deliver it from an audience, even if it pisses them off. So that's the idea for that one. And I thought, and you could have good wee props on stage, and just like Prince Naz when he used to train, right? He used to train in front of in a stadium, and he'd ludicrous, and folk would come and watch him train, and just taking the piss. Like, he'd have the turbo train, and he'd be training in the gear. I usually got the privilege of watching me train. How's that feel? Just doing some crazy motivational talk. Yet you burst into song, you burst into rap, you do a fucking drum solo. It's just like showing the life force of just, you know.
We could totally fucking go crazy on stage.
Yeah.
We could fucking with the NPC and the fucking. I'm thinking about that.
Aye, that one.
But then the orchestrated thing as well, where you're telling me to put on.
Because we have gone nuts.
We could totally work and shit together. I would turn up for any practice, any meeting, any discussion, any creative discussion, powwow with. I would totally be on your team.
Well, how about that then?
Be on your team.
For that one, it could be like a co-writer thing.
Aye.
Like, I think, like I say, you've sent me some wee texts and stuff. You've got a kind of gift for lyrics, probably, with your knowledge of, I do cover tunes, but I do them in my own way, and then I twist them. But I struggle with like coming up with something totally, like songs and raps and everything. So I like the idea of co-writing, having a shot at, Yeah, all right then. How about that? Try to have a wait. So we're writing right there. Right, we'll agree to.
Agree. This is the beginning of
it. Fuck. Right. So they are. But going back to the one man thing, that was coming into my head. I'm going, I'd like to use wee bits of some of your music that you've already done and put it in videos. So I'd be like talking away, if I could just fucking quote myself, and then play a wee thing, and then back. So it's always changing. And music wise, cool. But so it could maybe just look over some of the spiels and stuff and go, is there a germ of an idea for a song or a... So are you talking about almost, you could have a rant over music? It doesn't have to be like songs and rap, it could just be...
a rant would be better.
Right,
a rant would be better.
Yeah.
So you just be ranting over my tunes, like...
Right, I like this, because that's what I was saying about some of the wee things I'd come up with in the McDonald's car park. I came up with some bits that I like the sound of it, right? But I'm going, I'm guessing, right? There's no got to be enough time in the one man thing I'm doing to put all of the rants in. So I'd probably have more then a need for that, so I
Yeah.
could save some of it and write, like you're saying, sit down and write.
Yeah.
Save the rant stuff and then use it for this one.
Yeah.
All right.
That sounds cool by me, like.
All right, better get to work then.
Yeah.
This has been episode 2 of Cure or Disease. If you got any thoughts, I'll let, because you opened it, I think it's about right. Yes, but anything we've talked about.
There's absolutely no need for the cure if there's no disease.
Yeah.
So, what you need to do is examine the disease, understand the disease, don't flinch from the disease.
Yeah.
Don't pretend the disease isn't there.
Yeah.
Completely understand the disease before you start dreaming of how to fix it, and that involves investigating and interrogating the disease from every angle.
Which is kind of like the creative stuff. I could just add to that, right? It's kind of like the fucking creative process, isn't it?
Yeah.
Interrogating ideas and finding solutions, but like you're saying,
Yeah.
when you do the art and you do and you end up with some cool pieces that you've done, you feel proud of yourself, and you go, "Wow, I didn't feel like I'm diseased now."
I mean, I totally think it'd be cool if we could do a 15-minute set.
Okay.
Where you rant.
Then we could take it anywhere, get up to an open micer and aye.
Where you rant for 15 minutes in the mic, and then I just have my tunes made for that.
Right.
Working with you collaboratively for that. I think that'd be cool.
So you could. I was watching some George Carlin. It was just before we finished. I was watching some George Carlin sketch, right?
Aye.
And he was like partly comedian, partly social commentator, wasn't he? He did a kind of he did rants and stuff, and he did a like Modern Man, where he's going, I'm a diversified multicultural, and I could give you a gang of, doing all this jargon.
Yeah.
But he made it, and then he would rant and doing all this jargon talk, just a commentary on the state of the world with all this jargon in it, and he was taking the mickey out of it. But then he went into how we have been pre-cooked, so he would do wee rappy bits, and then he'd come back into, so kind of like that, isn't it? It's kind of sort of poetry in it. And
I had an idea for Down the White Heart, right? Which was like, I would make my tunes on my MPC and sequencer drum machine, and what I would do was I would just make those tunes, and I would bring 5 microphones for the audience to pick up. So anyone who came to the gig could grab a mic.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool idea.
Yeah, that's cool. That is cool.
Because that would encourage a community of creative people to hang out. Because see the punks, they weren't just like it wasn't just like an entertainment movement.
It was collaborative.
It was like a community, a community of a movement, where like a lot of the people in the audience would be in bands, and the bands knew that they were playing to an audience of bands and all this kind of stuff, and people would meet each other and all this kind of stuff, and everybody was getting involved in like fanzines, fucking bands, like record producing, recording, artwork and everybody. There was like a big community of people who knew each other, would be able to meet other people who were like that and talk about doing stuff. And like a lot of the creative people would end up in the audience, and then they'd be on stage and all this kind of stuff. And like it was just sort of like that. And I think it'd be cool if there was a movement which was very much from the people of Dumfries, from what was inside them, to be able to get that out to other people and meet people who were into similar sorts of stuff.
Well, that's exactly what I was saying before. Like, That's what I wanted. I didn't just want my thing to be some self-indulgent bullshit. I was doing it because, like you said, I want to get it out, and I'm doing it for a bigger point, right?
Yeah.
And talking to Tanya there before, she was saying that I feel the need because I'm bored of feeling there's no venue for it. So I like the idea of, like, you know, open, like in Glasgow, there's like, you could do 3 open micers in one night. As you know, like, you turn up at these things, it's all like-minded folk. You turn up there, everyone vibes off each other, and then you do it. You see someone doing something totally, and then you vibe off it, and it lifts you up. And then, of course, after it, you meet folk, and then they start collaborating. You know.
Yeah.
You know, I had that when I was at fucking Chancellor's one night, and I was just doing a mad kind of loud. I was a bit drunk, but doing something along with the tune that was playing. And I met a couple of guys that I kind of recognised faces from back in the day, but I don't know who they were. And one of the guys was like, "Oh, we need a drum. What are you doing? We need a." So it's that kind of thing. You put it out, and then someone else sees that they could use you for their.
Yeah, there could be a network of a creative network that comes naturally. That comes just through people bumping into each other and being interested in each other's shit.
Yeah,
you know, in the town, you know.
Yeah.
And people being bold enough to bring forward what they're about and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think what I'll do is I'll get going with my thing, right? I think, like I say, if there's excess material, it would work well for what you're talking about. I think that's. I was talking about Zappa before. It's like, that's what he did, right? He had all these different musicians, right? But he'd get a musician, hire them, but he'd hire them for their specific skill.
Yeah.
He wouldn't ask them to do. He would play to their strengths. So it's that kind of thing, innit?
Yeah.
So you're like the Frank Zappa Dumfries. You're saying, do your rant. Then he start writing poppy tunes because that's not what you're about. You know?
Yeah.
Oh well. Well, this has been episode 2 of Cure or Disease, and hopefully, well, if you get through this entire thing, you deserve a medal, don't you? Because that's probably, do you think that was 2 hours long or something? I wonder.
Yeah.
Right, good stuff. Well done.